side, you have to say. And I imagine we're just going to see the same bans. It should be TF, Zed, and Thresh.
Yeah.
If those were the bans on the red side, then they're likely to stay the same, considering they're mostly pocket bans against Snowflower and Mickey. And wow, that is a surprise to see the Lux ban when you have the opportunity to counterpick.
Yeah, well, like you said, Lux is really a last pick red side champion. Otherwise, it's just too easily countered, I suppose.
Especially by Mickey's champion pool, which is very assassin heavy to begin with.
Then again, we did just see him play that Lux into a LeBlanc, and it still went well for Fly.
Yeah, but different than perhaps a Fizz coming through, and there's a Fiora ban this game, so adaptation here from Afreeca. Gangplank left up for the first time tonight, and that will be KT's first pick. So we haven't seen Mundo yet, surprisingly, one of the more powerful picks in this meta. Again, not picked or banned tonight.
Yeah, that and Ezreal have been kind of the two surprises in terms of
absolutely
champions we haven't seen picked or banned.
It's time to troll Cloud Templar. We've been doing this for years now.
But see, more than ever, the Cloud Templar trolling picks are like viable. It's getting better.
Shen, Trundle.
Yep.
Maokai.
Yeah.
Only the Amumu not really
well
too terribly in the meta.
The Skarner too.
Yeah, that's
really.
true.
Yeah. Trundle's the big one though, of course. See, now we can never tell if they're just trolling Cloud Templar or if they're actually going to pick the troll. It's a mystery. Ooh, Misfortune Trundle though. Strong lane, and that's what it's going to be.
Yeah, MF not picked or banned in game number 1, but we saw the efficacy of the Misfortune Trundle combination played by SK Telecom in our first series. They comboed it together with a lot of zone control from Victor too. So Mickey is certainly a Victor player, and saw him hovering over that in game 1. It's something they could bring out, and why not just play the Elise Lucian combo again? Really worked for them.
If it's not broke, don't fix it. And both Score and Arrow had pretty great performances on those champions.
So
we actually see the Mundo, though.
Mundo's a really strong pick right now. He becomes unkillable in the late game. You could play, theoretically here, Lyra on something like Kindred in the jungle, which is still available if you have that big tank in the top side. You can also jungle Mundo right now if you want to. But we could see an Ahri blind pick.
We will. Wow.
So Mickey going back through his old staples today.
And what's it going to be for KT's last 2 picks?
Wow, Kog'Maw would be really surprising here, so probably see something a bit different. Achani could be going for the Braum. The Shen is still available should he want to go for that instead.
Do you think it'd be a mid Gangplank or a mid, I guess it doesn't matter anymore, Olaf maybe the pick here?
Yeah, Olaf's a pretty strong just blind top lane pick if you have to grab something when you don't know what your opponent is playing.
Sure.
Pretty all-purpose, but could also just play Gangplank at the top side, not worry about it too much. Going for the Kassadin, which was threatened by KT in the picks in game 1, but not actually followed through on, as the Lux was decided upon instead. And
all right, Braum.
So the Braum makes a lot of sense. Obviously quite strong against Misfortune if you're trying to stop that bullet time. So Braum Kassadin.
Yeah, and you feel like with Misfortune and Ezreal being such power picks right now, Braum may come back a little bit if they get picked on the other side.
Caitlyn too, another pick that we're going to see more of.
Yep. Depending
on the particular scenario. So when you have a lot of these abilities, Braum's Unbreakable becomes a premium, and we saw what that Misfortune could do, and when Bang had it, when SKT first picked it in game 1, or game 2 rather, of the first series of the night, and now we have it countered just a bit by this Braum.
Yeah. And will we see the Gnar up in the top lane?
Again, it's a good setup, obviously, with the Misfortune ultimate. You want to hit that big CC. Ixu has played it a lot in the past.
Lissandra's open, though, as well.
Yeah, I think you want something a little bit tankier right here. It's all about protecting Misfortune and providing crowd control so she doesn't get CC'd during her ultimate.
And it's going to be the Gnar. So KT just trying to set up that big wombo combo, and then you've got Mickey on the outside of the fight, just kind of darting in and out, doing damage where he can.
Yeah, again, like you said, big combo. Meanwhile, KT, they've got a lot more pick pressure here. Two teleports and a global ult onto this gangplank. So a high damage composition, but certainly much more fragile. And they've got to burst down somebody quick, but they've got good ways to get into the back lines. They have Repel, they have Rift Walk to try and deal with Songyun.
Yeah, that's true. Misfortune, of course, not a very mobile AD carry. Man, if you get charmed by Mickey into a bullet time, good luck.
And remember, Kassadin still, he doesn't have that silence on his Q anymore, but it is still an interrupt, so channels have trouble.
True.
So I like the Kassadin pick here.
It's a good point. Well, I mean, what we're looking for out of Afreeca Freecs this game is just a little bit more organization, I would say. They just looked a little bit lost, you know? They looked like they were having trouble making decisions as a team for a lot of the game.
Yeah, and they couldn't make the mid game work, and that's what their main power spike was with two bursty mages like LeBlanc and Lissandra. And once you try and get into that late game against Fiora, where she can just out-split push you, you're not going to have a good time.
Very true. And so, KT on the verge of getting a 2-0 in their first match of Champion Spring. We may have our two finalist teams from Champion Summer with 2-0s in their first best of threes. We'll see if it happens. KT versus Afreeca Freecs. Let's get in the game. All right, welcome once again to Summoner's Rift. KT Rolster versus the Afreeca Freecs. That name is never going to get old to say.
Or free CS, depending on how you want to say it.
That's true. That's a good point.
Somebody got a lot of free CS last game.
He did. He got tons. Thanks, Afreeca Free CS. Oh, wow. The trolling is real, and not just because Snowflower is leading the charge into the enemy jungle. Looks like he might have some deep warding going down.
Yeah, very strong invade here, starting out for Afreeca. We'll see what happens. It's always a possibility, and certainly beneficial. Gnar, very good into these lane swap situations. Did see that kind of weird double turret, side turret kill in the last game. Wow, blinking headphones, very stylish.
Neat. I mean, you can really enjoy that when you're wearing them, if you've got a mirror in front of you, I guess.
Maybe you can catch yourself in the reflection of your monitor.
I guess you're like, oh, wow, my headphones look cool.
I look so good with my head flashing like this.
Not even like Beats have something like that. You talk about unnecessary stuff. Wow, Snowflower putting a lot of harassment onto Score. A lot of damage there. Score could be in trouble. Songyun coming in. Yeah, gets the flash. Someday now has to flash as well. Nice early invade again by Afreeca Freecs. Snowflower not done yet. Trolling to the extreme.
Yeah, super aggressive early play there. Get a lot of damage down with Misfortune's passive. And going to try and just harass around this blue buff a little bit longer. And
did a good job of it.
Yep. Well, like you said, Doa, come in, get those early wards, and punish after they lane swap using their duo lane. Both members to force two early flashes. That's a nice advantage, but KT, they're not going to be too bothered by it. They have Kassadin, they have Gangplank. Again, this is going to be a game that is going to be largely about KT scaling, and instead of running the 4-1 split push like we saw in the last game, this time they're going to try and do a 1-3-1 and split push with both Kassadin and Gangplank simultaneously.
Yeah. And it'll be interesting to see what Mickey can put together on this Ahri. Again, you know, one of his best champions. He is that great assassin mid laner, and has maybe got a little bit more room to play around with those skills when he's not having to worry about getting blown up completely by Lux.
Well, the main question here, though, is going to be after that jungle delay where they couldn't take a buff early on, how much faster is Afreeca going to start getting these turrets? You can see they already have 3 members down onto 1 turret, and they've cut it down to about a third. Meanwhile, the work really hasn't been done as heavily on the bottom turret of Afreeca, so they're going to have a bit of a time advantage. The wave is drying up right now, but there's another one coming, so can they actually get 2 turrets while their opponents only get 1? And how much time are they going to have to bounce this wave? KT really slow. Afreeca already recalling, and Ixu Gonna have a nice bounce back towards his tier 1 here.
Yeah, help him farm a little bit more safely.
Ooh, that's really good.
Yeah, that was about auto attack perfect there. Taking the turret right as the minion wave goes down.
Meanwhile, CKT having to wait for yet another wave right here. Unlikely that they're going to be in as good of a situation with Afreeca immediately pushing back. So fast push can come through here very nicely. Someday going to be given that wave, does get the full gold, is in range, but...
Oh, slowed a bit. There's a knockup coming in. Someday could be in some trouble. Chani and Arrow jump right back into it. Here comes Score. They're going to try to turn it around. Teleport used by Ixu. Comes down to help out his team. Someday on the run. First blood going to Ixu. Nice kill there. And another slow coming in from Misfortune. Going to leave it at that, though.
And
not going to push it too hard.
Really good teleport. They had the edge right there, and that's the advantage of getting that faster turret down, and the price of blowing those 2 flashes early on in the jungle, being unable to complete that camp, and kind of arrogantly jungling on the side where you know Afreeca has vision. So KT taking some rather silly risks early on and ultimately paying a pretty high price.
Yeah.
Well, they knew Someday's flash was down from that Grump, so nice advantage there, and now they have the pressure on. Meanwhile, Someday going to TP to the top side, but doesn't get a whole lot of CS. Meanwhile, Ixu right here gets that first blood, now has a giant wave to take.
Someday just can't stick around there for that long without a flash, without any way to get away.
Well, this is a good situation, and now Someday going to be a little bit lost on the map. We'll see how well Ixu can actually freeze this. Looks like it's going to hit the tower, so we'll be pushing back out eventually. Yeah. Someday you can see just moving around the top side right now, trying to place some wards down so he knows whether or not he can actually farm this in relative safety.
Yeah, I mean, he's got time. It's not the end of the world to die like that with GP. But you do need to play it a little bit more carefully. I mean, it's really all about if Afreeca Freecs can find a little bit more coordinated mid-game, right? Because doing okay in the early game is something we've seen them do plenty of times in the past. It's, can they keep it together once it hits like 15, 20 minutes?
Yeah, absolutely. And Ixu right here went back with his first blood gold, did pick up a pink ward and warded Tri-Brush, so he got rid of the ward that Someday placed in there, which makes it even more dangerous to play, for Someday to play forward right now. There are multiple different paths that the jungler can come from, and he just has no idea. So this is really a pretty free lane for Ixu right now. Yeah, Someday's got to be quite scared. But Score is going to see Lyra, so that means it's not going to be as hard for him to catch up to this wave, and just maybe he can even out the CS.
Snowfire and Songyun putting some pressure on, but still even in CS. A little bit of a lead for Mickey here in this mid lane. Oh, Charm nearly connecting with Fly there.
Yeah, Fly going to be going for the Rod of Ages first on this Kassadin, so that combined with the GP and how far behind he is, it's going to be really long time before KT is in any kind of fighting condition. Afreeca will take a lot of advantages here on the map, and looks like the ward timer was a little bit off right there for KT.
Yeah, seen by Songyun and Snowflower, so they can just back off safely.
Good wards. Lyra got some nice deep vision in there. And so Afreeca knew the entire time where Score was and back off that well in advance.
Oh, did you get it?
Yeah, Score got it.
Wow, nice.
Just barely.
Close one. Really close. Oh, meanwhile, a duel in the mid lane. Mickey and Fly taking each other down to about approximate health, but Mickey the one low on mana after that, so.
Yeah, Ixu also just starting to take away jungle camps, and when you have deep wards on both sides of the enemy jungle, you are not in a good position. If you're KT, this is the kind of invasion that shouldn't be happening this early on in the game. There's just so much control going over to the Afreeca Freecs at this stage.
Very true. Someday getting low. Score is there, though. They're going to try to make a play onto Ixu. Ixu has no flash, trying to do this right before it comes up, and there's a kill for KT.
It's a very clutch turnaround because now Someday is going to be able to get a lot of CS. They're going to regain control over that topside jungle and just a little bit more harass that Ixu wanted, but his flash not up. That means he does pay for it. Didn't actually have any wards to place in that side of the jungle.
Well, that was great timing by KT to know that Ixu's flash was about to come up, but wasn't quite there yet.
Definitely a good commitment there. Score spending his flash to make that trade.
Yep. Worth it, I would say. Mickey's still chipping away at this mid turret. Fly hasn't been able to push too hard.
Lyra really wants to take away this red buff, force some kind of fight. They have pressure in the mid and bot lane right now. Nice ward though. We'll go ahead and proc the Raptor buff, and Score just going to try and body block a Prey Seeker right here so it doesn't get stolen away. Successful in that endeavor.
Yeah, a little bit of action down in bot lane near the Tri-Brush. But you got to respect the pressure Lyra's been putting on all game long. It's been good. The KT starting to find some opportunities, though. Opportunity here for Freecs as they try to take out Fly, but Mickey doesn't land that charm.
Yeah, very obvious call. There was a ward sitting right next to the mid lane, so Fly was not caught unaware of that movement, but his tower is getting relatively low right now, and this is some nice pressure coming in. Meanwhile, there's not really anything that KT can do in terms of matching objectives. Ixu's still quite strong, and they don't have any immediate pressure, and that's going to force a TP from Kassadin right back into the mid lane just to provide some limited wave clear.
All right, well, they get the Cocoon on the Snowflower, was trying to land it on Songyun because they had that Braum passive stacking, and maybe a stun there could have resulted in a kill, but Afreeca Freecs getting away at just the right time.
I think they actually probably could have pushed that a little bit harder than they ended up doing.
Maybe. I mean, KT has been just the epitome of safe play lately.
Well, you need to just press these early advantages as hard as you can if you're Afreeca, because you don't want to get in a situation like you were last game where you had an earlier power spike and you didn't actually capitalize on it. Well, the longer you let KT sort of just sit in these lanes and farm and you don't take their turrets, the bigger problem it's going to be for you later on.
I mean, that's kind of the typical evolution of a newer team, right? Is you have these good strategies that get you these leads in the early game, but then you just really can't make the most out of them as the game goes on.
I mean, they don't have to lead in the early game, though. I think that's the big issue right now. They have to keep putting down turret damage.
Oh, Snowflower.
Before KT gets absolutely massive on this Kassadin and Gangplank combo.
How much time would you say they have? Minutes? 5?
No, they've got more than that for sure. Obviously,
6?
More. They don't even have a Rod of Ages yet, so 15, 20.
Oh, okay. Got some time. Mickey, though, not wasting any time doing damage to this turret.
Yeah, this is exactly where they need to be. And here we go again, MF coming up to help, and this is the kind of push that they need early on.
Yeah, that's going to result in a turret for the Freecs. That's 2 already, getting mid and top. It's going to set them up for a good dragon attempt here in the future if they want to go for it.
You need to build long lanes for your opponents if you're in Afreeca's case. You know they want a 1-3-1 in the late game, so the longer lanes you can build, the harder it's going to be for them to push out and to actually threaten turret kills of their own. While it gives you a lot of room to get behind them with TPs or with your jungler and start to force them into situations where they're not going to be able to run away to the safety of their own turrets.
Yeah. No vision for Afreeca right now. But can Arrow and Hachani win this 2v2? Well, they certainly can if it's a 3v2. Oh boy. Welcome to Season 6. Score comes in. They're going to jump right on Snowflower. Easy kill there. Even with the bullet time, nice block from Hachani.
Very well played.
Uh-oh. Lyra coming down, though.
Braum
doesn't look like they've got a chance.
Braum passive, Cocoon combination is an easy lockdown onto Trundle, and then Hachani follows up with the Unbreakable, so there's not a whole lot of damage that comes through from that bullet time, and they really want to do this dragon right now. Start out strong with that damage buff. Mickey having some trouble dealing with Fly.
The lane's still pushing, though, so KT not able to go for that dragon just yet.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That mid lane tower actually probably did just prevent the dragon from being taken right there.
I think so. Everybody
chunked enough that they want to go home. And the wave pushing very slow from this Kassadin.
Yeah. Meanwhile, in top lane, somebody's gotten the CS lead. Still no kills, but he's slowly powering up.
It's actually impressive considering how he started this game that he's managed to swing the CS back in his favor.
He's an impressive top laner.
And that score gank really doing a lot of work.
Here comes Braum. Hachani trying to make a play. They're going to try to lock down Ixu here. Flashes out of the Braum queue, though. So they got the flash. This is going to lead to some decent turret damage, too, maybe.
I haven't seen that Braum skin before.
Me neither. I was thinking the same thing. It's cool though.
I don't know.
I like it.
When you have Mexican wrestler Braum, do you really need any other skins?
Well, it doesn't mean he can't have other cool skins. It just doesn't mean it won't be the coolest skin.
It definitely is not the coolest skin, and there's no reason not to use the LT Gray Braum skin at all possible times.
You'll have to have a harsh talk with Achani later. Afreeca takes down their third turret.
His skin selection skill is way off.
Yeah, well,
Way off.
When you face check a brush, especially, you want to look as good as you can.
Well, he's more armored in this one, so I suppose maybe that helps him.
That's true. So meta. Fly defending that bottom tier too, but Afreeca continuing to take the map control. Still no one with any dragon buffs just yet.
Yeah, matching turret though, and all that gold going to Someday.
Yep.
So Gangplank continues to scale up nicely.
They're getting very close to that Trinity Force.
Scary is going to be a pretty on-time Trinity Force, and just a little bit of a delay on the Rod of Ages for this Kassadin in the mid lane. He's going to go back and pick it up now.
Yep. So KT not even really trying to siege there. They don't really have the best lineup for it at the moment, I suppose.
This isn't the same style of siege composition that we saw in the last game.
Yeah.
They're splitting up though. This is the kind of scenario that they really want in this game. So this is a great call. Afreeca, knowing they need the pushing power early on, just hand that over to Songyun. And that'll be the Rift Herald buff onto MF and just keep the pressure on while they can. Trinity Force is done now for Someday.
Yep. Soon need to be a little bit more careful, but Afreeca coming down to take this top lane
Really
tier
nicely
two.
done. They forced a GP ult out.
They've got that Rift Herald buff too to make those minions just that much stronger. They may get this one, or they may do some damage, or they may do neither of those things.
You can always wait for the next wave or
Yeah.
make a move into the mid lane right now that Ari's pushing up. Just keep dancing around the map and forcing situations where KT has to play on the back foot.
Yeah.
But they're not going to do that. Backing off right there, they're going to give Someday some breathing room and some time to continue to expand his farm lead. And they also let Kassadin sort of slowly push his way all the way through the map. And
Oh, hello.
gonna get hit by an auto and dodge the Make It Rain. I'm waiting for the Kylo Ren Kassadin skin, by the way, though.
I suppose you could kind of make his little void blade shaped like that lightsaber.
Yeah.
You could do it.
It's
Yeah.
a very obvious co-licensing agreement there, Riot.
There's been so many.
Just talk to Disney.
So many, but we haven't seen it. It's coming. It's coming eventually, I'm sure.
I mean, look at that. If it's one of the most obvious co-branding opportunities ever in League of Legends.
yeah, or like, I think the Marvel co-branding. Like, what about Mundo and the Incredible Hulk?
Well, I mean, basically, you know why there's so many co-branding opportunities, Doa?
I think I can guess what you're going to say, but go ahead.
It's because these ideas aren't very original. How about Alien and Predator? You got Rengar, you got Kha'Zix.
We had our talk about the Hollywood industry. That should, movie industry, that should take care of it. Afreeca Freecs getting pushed away from the dragon. Dragons, yeah, there's an original animal. Only been around for like thousands of years. Wow, Arrow, nice zoning with the culling to push Freecs back again. Whoa, Dragon taken by Score, and the fight is on. Achani getting really low, really fast, but manages to pop that Braum ult. Meanwhile, Mickey trying to do a lot of damage. Kills coming in for both sides, but it's looking a little bit better. Well, actually, it's pretty even right now, but KT, I think they have the edge unless Ixu can do something pretty amazing right here. Double kill, actually, for Lyra at the end of the day. Nar's tanky, but in the end, Someday should be able to get this one. Parlay!
Bullet to the face.
That's right. Negotiations are over.
Well, that was actually very good play by Hachani. He really saved that engagement because he started out with a really good bullet time block with Unbreakable and then ulted Songyun out of his ult. Meanwhile, Fly and the Gangplank ult onto the back line of Afreeca. Watch this ultimate. Actually tracks Songyun's flash right there as he was trying to escape. And that's a 3-man, 4-man actually. GP ultimate onto the back line. Sure, Fly dies, but he does enough to take out the kill. Lyra takes 2, but Ixu just can't deal the damage coming out of this GP after he gets the Trinity Force.
Yep.
There you
Snowflower
go.
just too afraid to go in.
One shot, one kill. Bam.
Boop.
Is that the sound a gun makes, Doa?
Yeah.
Doa's flintlock pistol sound?
Stuff it with gun called powder. Not the most popular gun for salty sea dogs.
The booper.
That's what they need to rename the ability. I mean, we've already got Rat-a-tat, so why not boop?
I mean, I already stole it from Pirates of the Caribbean anyway.
What?
Parlay?
Parlay? Yeah.
Yeah.
They, I believe Disney invented that word when they...
See, they may already have a
Pirates of the
co-branding
Caribbean.
agreement with Disney. Who knows?
Maybe. It's true. This is the day you almost caught someday. Wait, no, that doesn't work at all. No. Never mind. Co-branding agreement terminated. Somebody trying to protect his bottom tier 2 here.
They haven't tried to rip off Terminator yet.
Not yet.
They did try and rip off Arnold Schwarzenegger, though, with Scion, so.
Really?
Yeah, his quotes.
Oh, I've never heard him in English, so I wouldn't know this. See, I miss these things because I play with the Korean client. I just recently swapped it over to English, so maybe I'll start hearing it.
Will you?
Maybe. Will I? Oh, will Mickey survive? Yeah. Trundle body blocking the culling. If only there was a Lux Salt to finish him off.
No such Lux this game.
Oh. And we've already got the Afreeca Freecs. We don't need any more Freecs in this cast, Monty.
Just pile it on while you can.
Yeah. I don't know how I feel about Freecs sponsoring a LoL team. I mean, isn't that kind of a conflict of interest?
No, definitely not. I don't see any problem at all.
I think it's fine. Don't worry about it. Well, it's not like they're called the Full Monties or something.
Mistakes were made.
Well, Afreeca Freecs. KT trying to set something up, but it's not going to work out. Ooh, score! Wow, all right.
He's actually trapped in the wall.
I guess so. Crush that spider. And he may be in trouble here. Ixu looking for the damage. Doesn't quite get it. Goes Meganar. GPL drops. Can KT follow it up? Fly coming from the side. And the Freecs having to back away. Hachani there.
Do you remember this from last game in the lane swap, Doa?
A little bit, yeah.
Do you remember what happens when all the side lane tier 1s go down and then no one has anything to do besides walk into mid lane repeatedly?
I do remember that. I think it's where Arrow comes in and kills everybody eventually with Lucian. It's probably right.
To be fair, this is also a symptom of the scaling champions that KT has selected in both games, meaning that this is actually for KT the most efficient way to play the game right now while they wait for their late game power to develop.
Why not?
It's not a very exciting way to play League of Legends.
It wasn't supposed to be like this. We're in preseason. The games are fast. The kills are high. What is going on? This is not what I signed up for.
I'm sorry. This is what's going to happen at lane swaps now.
Oh.
Especially with Cassid and GP.
Oh, well. Oh.
On the plus side, Someday now has his Infinity Edge, so we're reaching a point where KT may have just an unstoppable split push developing.
Well, that's the idea, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Maybe some more dragon stacking, too. You never know. KT managed to get 5 in the last game.
Yep. Something we did not think we'd see for very many games this year. At least not in the current patch, but right off the bat, KT showing, no, we can play that slow. We can wait it out that long.
We can pick Fiora and Gangplank and just split push eventually.
Savor our victory. Someday, trying to live, trying to get the damage done. Hachani comes in to save him. Ixu in trouble. Score locks him up with the cocoon. There's a kill for Someday. Not bad.
Second kill now that has come through for Someday, where Ixu is pushed way too far in the top lane without vision. He's not actually getting a lot of support from Lyra or from Snowflower up there to get him the information that he needs to successfully defend his position or apply pressure. And every time he dies, that's more time that the Afreeca Freecs lose when it comes to successfully dealing with the giant split push that is inevitably coming their way from KT.
Well, free CS, how about a free dragon? KT takes that one easily. Lyra trapped a little bit. Snowflower getting harassed by Fly on the outside of the fight. Nice knock up from the Braum ultimate. Fly over the wall. Braum blocking the damage. Whoa, nope. Not enough. Songyun gets a double kill. Fly on the run now, and it looks like the Freecs are turning this one around. Someday on his own. That Braum shield just wasn't angled quite as well as I thought it was going to be.
Nope, it was definitely angled the wrong way,
Man.
and that's what happened. Just sort of splits the difference right there. That ultimate from MF hits absolutely everybody.
I want to see that one again. Oh, their headsets are flashing like crazy now. They flash faster the more excited they get.
It's actually attached to a heart rate monitor.
That'd be cool. We need that for pro gamers. No, we really do.
No, I don't think we do.
They're in time.
No.
It's what e-gamers require. Someday wants to be a hero, has to end up burning that flash. Lyra chasing. Someday's still okay for the moment, and Chani blocking some damage. They managed to prevent the Baron for the moment.
A little bit early to go after the Baron with that few members up from the Afreeca Freecs. Arrow sent down to the bot lane to clear out this wave, and it's a nice fight there from Afreeca. They had the good positioning from the MF ultimate over the wall while everybody from KT tried to pop on over.
You know, we had Mickey doing exactly what he wanted to, just kind of staying on the fringes of the fight, going in and assassinating people when he had an opportunity. So that really was the perfect fight for what the Freecs are trying to do this game.
Yeah, Fly on the cusp of a major power spike, though. Once he gets the Zhonya's Hourglass, it's going to be a major pickup for him. And he'll be able to get into the back line and just stay there for a lot longer, refresh his Rift Walk, and then continue to wreak havoc in the back line. And they don't have a lot of tools to deal with that.
Yeah. Well, Meganar for Ixu. And still not able to take that Rift Sculler. Rift Coward. All it does is run away.
Hide in a hole.
Yep.
It's not very good at hiding, though. It leaves its antenna up.
I know. And you'd think the antennas being the sensing organs that they are, it would know that it's not completely hidden.
I like how it looks out for danger, but somehow can't be attacked.
That's very good at avoiding danger. Oh, meanwhile, some danger coming in for Afreeca as Gangplank's ultimate slows everybody down. Score trying to harass while Lyra trying to get with the rest of his team. Braum ult. Oh, Cocoon. Can someday make something happen here? Not quite, it looks like. They've done enough damage.
Well, they knew that Ixu's TP was down.
Oh, nice.
And so they're going to get the mid lane turret off of it. They decided to just try and catch someone right there because that's the ideal situation for KT. They have that mobility and the burst damage to chase down members of the Freecs who are out of position. It's when Ixu is there and can set up the MF ult with a Gnar ult that they need to be very, very worried.
Yeah. Uh-oh, KT in trouble. A flash score thrown against the wall by Ixu's Gnar ultimate. And that's going to be the end of score for the moment. And it may be the end of that tier 2 turret unless KT can respond. Culling helps. Helps a bit.
A lot of HP left on that turret.
Yeah, bullet time not very effective.
GP barrels are very effective at
they are.
Dealing enough damage. Fly now going to start chasing him down. Spooky Ghosts used.
Helped a lot. Actually, Mickey taking some damage, but you're right. The Frost Queen's claim getting the slow, keeping KT from catching up to the Freecs quite as quickly as they could have otherwise.
Such a good item right now.
Yeah. So hot right now.
So hot right now.
Frost Queen's claim, so hot right now.
Spooky Ghosts.
Yep, Spooky Ghosts. So hot right now.
Have ghosts ever been hot?
I mean, if they're like flaming ghosts. Yeah. I think I fought a couple of those in Witcher 3.
Were you witching your way to success?
I was.
Great ending.
Good, all right. What more can I say? Nothing about that, apparently. I haven't finished the game yet. I'm lying about all this.
I'm sad. It's a great game.
Why are you sad that it's a great game? I think you'd be happy.
Yeah, because I don't get to play it anymore. That's why I'm sad.
It's the old Witcher switcheroo.
The Witcheroo.
Well, the Witcheroo. Well, Arrow's trying to get some semblance of control in the mid lane after the scare in top.
I think a Witcheroo is when the Witcher says he's going to kill a monster, but then lets it live instead.
I think it's
Or when a monster kills a Witcher.
I think it's a kangaroo that's turned to the dark arts. Should ask Papa Smithy about this. Why didn't he warn us about these? What kind of friend doesn't tell you about that? And can KT actually make something out of this? I don't know. I think this is a dangerous situation unless...
Well, why is
chunk out
MF
Mickey.
in the bottom lane right now is the real question.
Well...
MF does not want to be in the bottom lane right now.
Good thing she's in the top lane.
Or top lane, yes, in the side lane. Yeah, but pushing
Either
down to
way.
the tier 2 is not where you want your MF without TP to be.
Yeah, well, I mean, they do trade turrets.
Yeah, that mid lane is significantly more valuable than the tier 2 that was already damaged.
Oh, for sure. I mean, KT is certainly getting a better positional advantage out of that.
And they're going to sacrifice Dragon for it too.
They may. Dragon up at about 5.
So they have to threaten Baron right now. But there's a pink ward from KT in the pit, so they're not going to really be too worried because there's no vision control. Afreeca really misplaying that entire sequence of events.
Yep. Someday trying to just slow people down so KT can take that dragon. They may have to be kind of patient here, though. Ooh, I don't know. You might be in for a bit of a fight. Dragon pulled towards score and fly.
Gonna be mini Gnar soon, though.
Yeah, so they probably aren't going to get a good fight here. Dragon. Lyra comes up to try to take it. They chase him away before finishing it off. Dragon does go over to KT. Can they make it out without fighting, though? I don't think they want to right now, and yeah, they'll escape. So Mickey and the rest of the Freecs are going to try to move down the mid lane, and I say that in the kindest way possible. And they should be able to get this turret, too.
Yeah, nice. So they make something out of it in the end by rushing the mid lane and trading 2-for-1 turrets, but those dragon stacks are getting pretty concerning.
Yeah.
For the Freecs, and they do end up in the end with some nice rotations to even the objective trading.
Why do they have to call themselves the Freecs? Why do they do this to us here, man?
Yeah, they could have named themselves the Lions, the Afreeca Lions.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where, or elephants. They would be more appropriate to the African continent.
But but it's not really, the streaming service isn't really named after Africa the continent, though, is it? I don't think so.
I have no idea what
It's not
Afreeca
spelled
is
that
supposed
way.
to mean, Noah.
Well, it's probably like a weird, like, shortening of something, because it's probably like a phrase that they shorten, who knows. They do that a lot in Korea.
I mean, you would never know that EM Fire is supposed to be Empire unless you were specifically told that.
Yep. It's true.
And it was supposed to be like Empire, but the E dash was there because it's like esports.
Yeah. And the F was there because it's Korean. And because F and P are basically represented by the same letter in the Korean alphabet.
That's right.
Yep.
There's no difference, so.
There's your Korean language lesson for today.
So that's how EM Fire came to be.
Yep. There you go. But how did they come to be in the state they are now? Well, that's completely different. And
That's
very
another
sad
story.
That's a story for a different day.
An EM Fire day.
That's right. We'll have one of those this week. At some point. Well, a bit of a lull in the action at the moment. KT just trying to secure as much of their own jungle as they can. They've gotten the dragon stacks. It really feels like we're back to Season 5, where there's just not much incentive to fight outside of that dragon.
Well, KT wants to play League of Legends this way. I haven't seen many teams do this.
I mean, if it wins, you know? But then you have to start wondering, you know, as the meta continues to evolve, if you lack that adaptability, we've seen teams suffer for that in the past.
That's very true. Whereas it has been all about the dragon for KT. Rather unorthodox way of playing the preseason, to be sure. But making it work. So denying some of these barrels right here, and that's starting to do quite a bit of damage.
Yes, it is. Oh, Ixu wants to brawl a bit. But someday we'll just drink some healthy fruit juice.
mean, eat some healthy fruit kebabs. Why does Gangplank have like fruit on a sword?
Well, I mean, where else would you carry it? Duel continues. Oh boy. I mean, if you're a pirate, if you try to carry the fruit in like your pocket, it gets really messy. So unless you're planning on sticking the sword in someone in the near future, you could just carry it on the sword.
I think you would be as a pirate, though.
Well,
Aren't you always concerned with sticking your sword in people?
Well, I mean, only if you're worried about your crew mutinying. Ixu on the run. Score chases. Oh, doesn't quite get the kill with the parlay. Arr, he was so close.
It's all right. Fly's going to take a turret in the meantime. But this is the late game split push. This is the late game 1-3-1 that there really aren't answers to from Afreeca. And as long as the three members in the mid lane can remain slippery enough here, which they can disengage with Elise and Braum quite easily and clear out the wave with the culling. There's not really a lot of choices for Afreeca. They're going to have a very hard time forcing any kind of fight. They're down a teleport. And the global ultimate of Someday makes it tricky. So they can't really win any of the side lanes right now.
Yeah, KT, just like last game, seems to be slowly but surely gaining a map lead and a presence lead, if not an actual gold lead.
Well, and now they have two Sheens in their split pushers too. They have the Lich Bane finished as a third item onto Fly.
Yep.
They have a ton of damage alongside that Sheen on Someday, who has now just about past that flame horizon of 100 CS advantage, despite starting very slowly in this game and getting first blooded.
Pretty amazing that he's been able to make a comeback like that. And KT, you know, on the losing end of first blood both games, but still looking pretty good when it comes to late game. And you know, it almost seems like we're seeing a very similar situation on the Afreeca side from last game too, that they're starting to look a little bit lost. They're starting to have kind of some tough times deciding what exactly the team needs to be doing right now.
Yeah, KT's basically just run them out of options too. They have played too much around the side lanes, which is exactly what KT wanted in the first place.
Yep, sure enough. And culling used. Achani pushing forward. Score throwing some damage from the side. Fly comes in from the side. Oh, they're going to force Zizonia's early on. Someday there. Bullet time over the top. Not really doing a whole lot. Oh, Fly got low, but wasn't killed outright. Score helping on the disengage. Arrows right there. And now, again, KT needs to be careful.
I am really surprised that KT decided to use both teleports to try and engage that fight.
It was very disjointed.
Afreeca was split up, but they don't have to be the ones forcing the fights right now. They can continue just to push the waves and take the dragon pretty much forever.
I mean, you could argue that KT was trying to force that fight to get Afreeca to blow all of their big cooldowns on it to make this fourth dragon rather, easier to take.
That's true.
That worked. Even if it wasn't the intended consequence, it did.
Yeah, the problem is now they can't
result.
put on pressure, though, and Afreeca can just group around this Baron, and they have to respond to this. Meanwhile, that wave and bottom side is getting disturbingly large.
All right, well, Baron being taken by Afreeca. No vision for KT, but they're still pushing ahead. Now they know. Will Afreeca back away? It looks like they're sticking to that for the moment. Nope, there's the turn.
No MF ult up right now. Gnarl is back up.
KT kind of in a weird spot, though, between the enemy and the enemy's base here. Funneled into the choke, could end up bad. Oh, GP ult though brought down, and that's going to split up the Freecs a little bit. Can they pick apart the team? Bullet time back again. Braum blocking a lot of it this time around. A kill coming in for Arrow already. And now Afreeca Freecs in a little bit of trouble as KT comes storming back down the mid lane. Slowed down a bit.
Uh-oh.
by
Everybody's
Songyu.
on the wrong side of the map.
Yeah, Mickey trying to run away here. Lyra dives back into the enemy team. A kill for Mickey, but here comes Arrow over the top. Kills all over the place for KT. Achani even living as Lyra forced to just back away rather than complete that kill.
And you can't team fight like that if you're Afreeca. They split up right there. You want the big combo in the jungle, but you had MF and Gnar on one side and everyone else sort of just chasing Fly around on the opposite side and trying to chase down a Kassadin. Well, your front line is focused when you need to be going after that combo.
Well, it's going to cost them.
It is a bit of a disaster, and that is going to cost them the game, yeah.
Yep. Lyra, last man standing, not able to defend this 5-man push from KT, though. They have enough minions that it should be able to do it. Nice knockup by Lyra, but that's going to be the ace. And how appropriate is it that Arrow takes that final kill, and the Nexus getting poked away. A lot of members of Freecs back up, but it's not enough. GG, and KT completes the 2-0.
Well, those were some long games from KT,
Yes,
but
they were.
they played to their strategy well, and they played with poise, just continuously scaling until they had sufficient opportunities to take that game. Not really playing around the Baron at all, weirdly enough, in either game.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of just seemed like some unwillingness to engage in the new meta, but at the same time, against an inexperienced team like Anarchy, or rather the Afreeca Freecs, you can kind of exploit that if you take it to the late game.
Well, especially when you have such a powerful 1v1 player like Someday in a split push scenario.
Yeah.
He gets you a lot of advantages, and if you could transition that into repeatedly stacking the dragon and scaling slowly yet effectively, then you can win some of these late game team fights, or you can really force your opponents into very difficult situations where if they're not as experienced as shot calling, they can sort of crumble. And Afreeca definitely not quite there yet when it comes to that late game know-how.
Yeah, and when you combine that good shot calling with the mechanical skill of a player like Arrow too, it really becomes tough if you're still a bit of a rookie organization like the Afreeca Freecs are. Mickey understandably disappointed. He really did everything he could, but
Well, he misplayed that last team fight a bit. I think that splitting up that's where you want to be if you are KT, and they did get the Gnar abandoned a little bit. They didn't follow up on the MF and Gnar combo as well as they could, and that was ultimately the team fight that had long enough death timers to get the win for KT, who spent a lot of time in this series prancing around the map and just out-rotating their opponents, basically.
should have picked a Mumu. Get in there, and that's what really makes the misfortune viable, man. Need that Amumu ult. Got to get in there for the Curse of the Sad Mummy, and we'll see who our MVPs are. We know that Arrow was our